Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Radiant Tale, continuing the common route of Vilio's route. Anyway, still in chapter 1, I think. Yeah, because we're still in Alita or whatever. We haven't done our show. We've just been practicing. So after that, we spent the days until the show on practice, promotion, and prep. And just like that, before we knew it, it was the day of our very first show. Things were still a little awkward between Rady and I, but with the big day upon us, I had to get my priorities straight. Look at that crowd. Nobody came to our show in the capital. Now that thought is surreal. Working so hard on promotion had been worth it. Moments before the performance, countless spectators crammed into our show tent. They all had different reasons for showing up, and some hadn't come to enjoy the show. Some were researchers who only wanted data from the Fae and our dragon. Others were students who'd come on a whim because we offered free entry. A large portion of our audience looked aloof, showing their low expectations of us. However, I was sure we could change these indifferent faces to smiles once they saw our show. With determination in our eyes, we nodded to each other backstage. It's showtime! It's showtime. I'm sorry, because it's more than one person. Wow, that buzzer was loud. My bird. Birds are obviously. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, dear citizens of Kalita. First, I'd like to express my profound gratitude to everyone here in the audience today. The adults, and the children, and the naughty researchers who toss their precious studies aside just for this event. We come here bearing a gift for you all, a special moment that will bring joy to everyone. As Ginia ended his opening speech, all right, time for a surprise. Vilio leapt from the ceiling and transformed into a dragon as he fell. And now it was showtime. Wow, I'm sorry, I have to, I left my mouse downstairs because the battery died yesterday. But, fuck, it's loud. I gotta turn my volume on. No, my god, my volume just tripled. I turned it down, and I'm like, I just need it down a little bit. It's, really loud in my ear. The Crimson Dragon swept across the entire tent, attracting the eyes of our audience. Aww, little GB. When he landed on the stage, countless Fae gathered around him. Vilio opened his maw wide, almost as if he were threatening to roast them alive. But the flames that he breathed came out in large rings of fire. The Fae weren't turned into ash, and instead happily hopped through the rings. Our next bit of entertainment was a silly juggling clown. He's juggling Fae. Zafora juggled the balls with ease, but Fae leapt in like little pranksters. Love that. So cute. He scooped up these round Fae and tossed them into the air along with the balls. I love how it's literally swapping the balls out for the little Fae. I could see the smiles on our audience's faces at this adorable sight. Up next, an elegant melody began, accompanied by a chorus of singing and moving water. Ashalia gave an elegant bow before walking onto stage and directing like a conductor. Bubbles made from magic appeared, adding flair to the entire venue alongside the Song of the Fae. Stars of the next performance were Fae on the trapeze. These little ones hopped around on unsteady feet, and naturally some slipped and fell, but Ion came sliding into the rescue, his large weapon in hand. He nimbly caught the Fae with the handle of his axe before tossing them back onto the trapeze. Suspense hitched our audience's breath, gluing their eyes to the stage, fearing the moment of failure. Then, by the time our final performance was about to begin, the researchers present had long forgotten to record data. Everyone waited for the next performance with bated breath.
All right, last up. You ready, Spacey?
Yeah, but,
Is it really okay for the two of us to do the finale? Sephora looks so mad at us for asking. I love it. What nonsense are you saying? Decided that after a thorough discussion, remember? He's so mad. How dare you doubt yourself? You're amazing. Get out there. Aw, you're supportive in a very weird kind of way. Look, I love our clown bitch boyfriend. I really do. Indeed. Since our show is centered around Faye, Rady is the most suitable for our finale. And you're the one who understands Rady best, of course, so you should go. They're right. No matter what Rady looks like, our bond hasn't changed. Spacey. I gave a big, reassuring nod to Rady, who looked worried. I'm fine now. Let's go, Rady. After sucking in a deep breath, I feel like this is different because, like, they always did, like, the little story bits. I don't remember. I can't quite. Part of my brain is like, am I mixing up one of the later shows with this one? But they always did little stories that kind of pertain to each city. Did we not do that the first time we came to Kalita? Because I feel like this is different. I mean, which makes it obviously they're gonna like kind of cut and adjust and change things because otherwise it'd be literally reading the exact same common route. And the point is, Bilio's common route is different than the everyone else's common route, but like, did they totally change the performance? Instead of being like, oh, we told a story about this, they're like, nope, we're just totally changing it, so it's 100% different. I can't remember. I mean, I know we used the Fae, but I don't remember if it went like this or we still told a story like we do in the other, like, cities. I guess we'll find out when we get to the next one. I took a step forward onto the dazzling stage. Alright, time for the finale. Let's all clap to the beat, everyone. I also don't remember being part of the finale, but... Rady walked onto the center of the stage alongside me, and on his cue, all of the Fae and circus members that had performed so far assembled around the stage and began to signal for the audience to clap. One after another, our audience dropped their pens and notebooks. Then they all joined in with a smile. Our finale was a dance performance with the whole cast, and Rady was the star. We flew, we jumped, we swiveled, we floated, we let out fire, we transformed. Everyone showed off their unique talents. Well, oh right, maybe this one because it's the one where like Rady jumps over our like baton, like that was the CG we got. So maybe it's I don't know. Somebody will tell me. We were scattered everywhere, be it on the stage or around the audience seats, and we all danced freely with big smiles on our faces. As for me, yeah, okay. Now, Rady! Surrounded by Faye at the center of the stage, I held out my wand as if to cast a spell. Rady chased after the path I drew, hopping around merrily. Celius, a great spirit who wished for harmony between humans and Fae. Love this city. I was a human and Rady was Fae. Rady leapt high into the air as if he were jumping across the divide between our races. Okay, yeah, this is the CG I was thinking. So, okay, maybe it's very similar, and I just don't remember what our first show was. Hello to all the humans and Fae living in Kalita, the Scholar City. In sync with Rady's shout, the Fae around me leapt up into the air adorably and began to dance. They jump over my outstretched arms or vault over my wand. Dazzling smiles were everywhere in that tent, no matter where you looked. May you all have the blessings of Celius. In the center of it all was Rady. Rady had always been at the center of all the smiles around me. That's right. Even back when I lived at Liber, regardless of their appearance, their race, their social standing, my dearest family member always brings joy to those around him. To everyone. To me. Then the clap to the beat eventually turned into thunderous applause. Researchers who only interested in furthering their studies were now smiling. Citizens who had been pressed for time forgot about efficiency for this one moment. Like pure and innocent children, the only thing they did was continue to clap. Surrounded by all these smiles and feelings, the first flora finally bloomed brilliantly. The first flora finally bloomed brilliantly. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of alliteration in a sentence. The end. Good route, guys. Good game. I'm just kidding. That evening, after After we'd finished cleaning up from the show, we reserved cheers for private use. There, we held a wrap party together with all the Fae that had participated.
Good work out there, guys. Yeah, good work.
Sorry, Bird.
That was absolutely amazing. Did you hear the applause?
Compared to our debut performance, the difference was like night and day. On top of that, our audience weren't the only ones having fun. All of us were too. Hearing Pashalia's words, I scanned Cheers' interior. Big smiles were on the faces of all the Fae who joined us. It was like a reminder of the audience's expressions after the finale, and I felt joy blossom in my heart as well.
Hiya! Thanks for all your hard work, guys.
You did amazing today.
Then, with Leon by his side, an unfamiliar boy squeezed through the crowd and bowed politely to us.
Thank you so much. I was very, very, very moved.
You're welcome.
We know Leon, but who's this guy? I don't remember seeing him around.
Oh, it's me. I'm Vero.
Vero?
Wait, what?
What a surprise. Is that your human form?
Yes, I was able to safely transform earlier. I have everyone to thank for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Vero beamed brightly, and next to him a chloris gently bloomed. Seeing that, we raised our glasses and toasted once again. And thus, Circus's first show ended as a wonderful success without any mishaps. Our excitement burned strong and bright, and because of that, the rowdy merriment lasted well into the night. Though eventually our cheerful party had to come to an end, as everything must. I need to help tidy up. It was early morning when I thought that, and I was still half asleep. Wait. When I snuck out of the pub, I saw Vilio outside, and I blinked in a stupor. Maybe he's getting some fresh air. It was still odd, though. Usually Vilio would at least tell us first. To chase him down. Going on a hunch, I chased after him. However, when he walked out of Kalita's gate, I couldn't keep silent anymore. Vilio...
I sensed someone following me and, it was you. You caught me again.
Vilio scratched his head and I looked at him questioningly. Why are you here, of all places? It's early morning.
Well, I'm still hyped up from our show, and I thought flying around and feeling the night breeze might cool me off.
A likely story, but you know what? It sounds plausible. I'll take it. You could always pick another time.
Nah, if I don't fly at night, there'd be a huge commotion.
Okay, good point. But he should still come back. I was about to voice my opinion, but then Vilio abruptly spoke up and beat me to the punch.
Hey, remember the blooming flora? It was so pretty, glowing like a rainbow.
It really was. He's like, hey, you remember something else that on a totally different topic so that you forget what you were about to say? Yeah, that. The flower bloomed brilliantly in the presence of countless smiles. It was stunning.
You know, when I first arrived at this city, I was really worried about the outcome.
I'm sure that we managed to remind the people of Kalita that smiles are precious things. Suppressing their emotions and researching in a detached manner shouldn't be everything. I hope everyone will take proper breaks and smile more. After hearing that, Vilio muttered something in a small voice.
You know, I think the amazing thing about humans is your ability to change with one small event, just like what we saw. That's why
For a second, the Vilio I saw seemed like a stranger. Hey, Vilio? Startled, I called out to him nervously, but then...
Oops! I nearly forgot why I was here. I'll head off and fly for a bit. You should head back soon. It's dangerous outside the city.
He returned to his normal, energetic self immediately and transformed into a dragon. Kicked off the ground and soared into the dark skies. Hey! Sometimes Vilio acts a bit odd. Maybe that's because he's a dragon. It's because he's hiding shit. And he's always been our, derpy little himbo, but, You just like you're probably a lot smarter than you pretend to be, aren't you? That like little himbo exterior is like,
oh yeah, I'm just cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy, whatever. Because you don't know the brooding that I feel inside. You know,
it's like his little mask. Stop it! Sporting a wry smile, I stared intently up at the veil of night. But at the same time,
we smile when we're happy, we cry when we're sad, and we eat when we're hungry. We show concern about other people, and we act because we want to help. Lately, I've started to discover that race and appearance don't matter all that much.
Lilia would put it very well. After our show in Kalita, we'd also learned that lesson personally. It doesn't matter if he looks different. After all, we're all in this together. I saw off the colossal shadow waltzing under the moonlight before heading back. Ooh, now Revelio.
I'll give you some space then. And make sure to put that chalice back when you're done, okay?
Got it. Actually, you can totally stick around, Ginia.
My policy is to avoid getting involved in things of a magnitude I can't handle. Oh, when you're done, only tell me what I'm allowed to hear. Just say hi to the king for me.
Interesting.
I shook my head with a wry smile at Ginia, who waved flippantly as he left. Then, I poured water into the chalice. This was a mystic tool that allowed me to converse with someone at a distant place. What shimmered into view on the water's surface was the figure of the most noble man in Eshalita, King Vigonia.
Looks like the chalice is working as intended. How are things on your end?
From the looks of it, Kalita doesn't have any big problems at the moment. Kalita's close to the capital, and there aren't too many fiends around.
I see. That is good news.
Thing is, few fiends is good, but the lack of bloom and chloris is an issue. When I walked around, I barely saw any.
The citizens of Kalita tend to devote themselves to research rather than recreation. A few humans experience vivid emotions. And that's why I believe your show is a turning point for this city.
I see. I'd be glad if that were the case.
Calypus has also displayed signs of recovery after we administered the flora your team bloomed. I cannot thank you enough.
Don't sweat it. I mean, if Prince Calypus doesn't get better, I'd be in trouble too. After giving my reply with a wry smile, a thought occurred to me. By the way, can I ask you something? You're gonna grant our wishes once the prince recovers, right?
Of course, though it will have to be something within my power.
Then I've got a request. It's about Rady.
Oh, you gonna wish to make him a real boy? Are you certain? Did Celius truly...
He told me directly, so I'm sure.
I like how they're kind of like hiding Rady's secret, even though you should know it by now. But like...
His mana felt strange, so I had a feeling he wasn't an ordinary Fae. But who would have thought he wasn't even Fae to begin with?
Okay, so they're not really hiding it. But it's funny how they kind of like gloss over it. They're like, yeah, are you sure that he's... Yup. Uh-huh. And it's like, it's almost like you're trying to hide it, but like we know. An artificial life form, a golem. See, I remember reading about them in old texts, but I never expected... Okay, now they just come out with it now that I just said it's weird that it seems like they're trying to just like not talk about it while like alluding to it. Never mind. And what is this request about?
Rady is... No, Relita thinks that Spacey's parents passed away because his powers weren't enough. From what I've heard from you, though, they're actually alive, aren't they?
The king knows? Okay, that's a shock. They didn't mention that he knew. Yes, we haven't made this public, but they're still comatose inside the Sage Tower.
If Relita learns the truth, I'm sure that he'll use his wish to save the two of them. I want you to help him when that time comes. That, and I want your help with the core item as well.
I understand. Some might raise objections about our handling the core item, but if it's a wish from the prince's savior, persuasion shouldn't be too difficult.
King gave me a firm nod before looking at me solemnly.
Archdragon, I ask that you continue to lend us your aid. Save my son, Calypus, to protect this world. Archdragon, that sounds important.
The water rippled and the image vanished. At the same time, I whispered to myself, for the prince, world, for Rady, and for Spacey. First thing on my list is to bloom the floor in our next city, huh?
Like, they're really just, like, making Vilio, like, the man, aren't they? Ooh, chapter 2. I'm not complaining. Like, listen, I love all of the characters in this. I love our full man harem, and he is adorable and sweet. And even though, like, quintessentially he's not the character I would love, like his adorable little face, and he's kind of like the bro dude. Like, those aren't the characters I normally love, but every once in a while you like the himbo, okay? We saw Parasite. I loved the himbo the most. Like, why do I love you the most? But, like, you can't not love Vilio, even if the trope character that he's is like not your type. Doesn't matter. He is adorable and precious. So, anyway, now we're in chapter 2.
Kultura, the Labyrinth City, founded by Libra, the great spirit of wind. Even now, this place is home to numerous wind spirits. Underneath the city is a vast underground labyrinth, giving the city its title.
This is where we find out all of Zephora's secrets! I guess we're still Rady because we got the border along top.
Thanks to this labyrinth, which allows people to travel around freely without worrying about distance, citizens here are very connected with each other and see themselves as one big family. Or that's what I've heard, at least. However, they're isolated at present because of lunatic riots, which have affected their strong bonds. This is a city of freedom, love, and Libra. The freedom of her people was stolen. Can't go outside due to the riots. The resulting rise in negative emotions must be why I sense more fiends in the surrounding area.
Well, that, and now we know that Balto is basically just a pile of fiends. He's 3 fiends in a human suit, basically.
I'll be honest, things look grim. I need to do something about it.
It's so funny because, like, they put so much on him, like, he's gonna, like, save the world, and it's like, the whole time you're like, you're just an adorable idiot! Well, God, no, you're really not, are you? I mean, he always came out with, like, wise statements, but it's, you know, that's not too unexpected, like, the adorable himbo's kind of dumbass, and then you're like, but they always comes out with some kind of wise, touching, heartfelt statement, and you're like, wow, yeah. And then goes back to being an idiot, but, like, he's got a lot riding on his shoulders, though. I kind of like that. You're like, he's an it. Well, God, he's actually really not as dumb as he acts, is he? Oh. Oh. Proud of you, Vilio.
I'm sorry.
I told you this yet the last part. You can tell my voice. It's like, it's painful. Like, I don't understand why this won't go away. A few hours had passed since our arrival in Kultura. After setting up my personal tent, I sighed as I put away some small items. I can't believe I got dragged into trouble the moment I set foot in this city. My heart had been thrilled at the foreign sights, but while I'd been distracted, someone had suddenly stolen some of my things. We chased the fleeing culprit, and we ended up inside the underground labyrinth of Kultura. Zephora had borrowed the power of wind spirits and guided us around the labyrinth. Thanks to him, we managed to seize the thief. Okay, so I mean, like, I think some of the same things are happening. We're just kind of, like, glossing over them instead of spending time on them because we don't need to, because we've already done it. When we'd handed the man over to the public security forces, I'm sorry, it's been hard to make ends meet lately, and I felt more bitter toward people, but I never intended to rob anyone. For some reason, though, I suddenly lost it. We'd ended up as victims to one of the infamous incidents we'd heard about. The lunatic riots that haunted this city, when citizens suddenly started fights or committed crimes. Although, to be fair, that might be true, but it's also very easy to be like, I don't know, I just suddenly lost my mind. And they're like, oh, lunatic riots. Okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, that's such a cop-out at this point. I think we're supposed to believe that the man, like, this literally happened, but it's such a cop-out that anybody can use it. And you'd be like, but did you, though? Really? Or are you just using that as an excuse because you got caught? Just saying. Human beings are shady motherfuckers. Lunatic riots of an unknown cause. We stumbled across a lot of trouble before our show in Kalita, but seeing how I was welcomed into the city, the show here might be even harder. In fact, most people are staying home out of fear, so even promotion's going to be an uphill battle. I finished sorting through my luggage with another sigh before going off to find the others. Oh, Bilio, you look vexed.
Yeah, just a little.
It's pretty strange for Vilio to look this troubled. I thought she was going to be like, really strange that Vilio knows what the word vexed means. See, he's not as dumb as he pretends to be. At the common area of our base, I found Vilio frowning as he thought hard about something. I found it odd, but before I could say anything, an appalled voice rang out.
Oi, what are you guys doing? You already finished setting up your tents. Yeah, look who's here. You have perfect timing, Zephora. Hey, you're from Kultura, right?
What about it?
Do you know how often fiends used to show up in these areas surrounding the city?
Fiends? Why in the world would you ask?
I'm begging you, please tell me.
Ilio's plea was earnest and solemn. Perhaps Zephora deduced something from it. For a moment, Zephora's brows scrunched up before he gave his reply.
My knowledge is not too different from other cities. There are reports of sightings in the nearby forest, but I've never heard of any fiend assault inside the city. I see. Is that still the case now?
I don't know what you're trying to get at. It's everything I know. I've been away from Kultura for 3 years. If you have to know, ask someone else. Zephora ended it at that and left. Vilio, meanwhile, sunk into his thoughts again. Hey, Vilio.
He hasn't noticed. So humans really can't sense them. Or is it only because Zephora's been away for too long and doesn't know Kultura's present state? If that's the case...
Hey, listen, Vilio!
Huh? Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, I was spacing out.
That's my line. Seriously, you've been acting weird. Is something worrying you? You've been acting weird, like intelligent and deep in thought, and that's just not like you. Poor thing.
I wouldn't call it that exactly. How do I explain this? Everyone talked about how y'all came across a fiend on our journey here, right?
We did. That reminds me, you weren't around back then.
Yep. Because of that, I wanted to check whether there were more fiends in Kultura, too.
Why is he putting so much effort into this?
Well, we're probably going to investigate after this, so I can ask around while I'm at it.
I'll keep an ear out as well, then. I'll take a little into fiends.
No, you don't have to.
Huh? Why not? Elio's voice had been firm. He then looked at me solemnly.
You can't protect yourself against fiends. It'll be risky if you go poking around.
What? I'm only walking around the city, though. I should be pretty safe.
Better safe than sorry, as they say. In the unlikely scenario you sense something dangerous, don't follow. Run. Am I clear?
Our himbo's getting bossy with us. I like it. Like, hi. Okay. Got it. Taken aback by Vilio's fierceness, I nodded without thinking. But it's so funny because he's got a serious look on his face, but it's adorable. I didn't know why Vilio was so wary of fiends. And again, the eerie, uncanny aura of those terrible beings was still vivid in my mind. It's so funny, like, the game is so fluffy that, like, even the fiends are kind of cute in a weird way. They're creepy, but they're not like, oh my god! They're like, they're kind of cute. In a sludge monster way. They literally look like a Scooby-Doo ghost. I'll be very careful. Finally making that oath, I headed off to help with setting up. Sorry, buddy. It took a little while to get the tents ready and set up the campsite. After that, we assembled to discuss our plan of action moving forward. That being said, with most of the population secluded in their houses, large-scale promotion was difficult. For now, the best choice was to arrange an audience with the Labyrinth Sentinel, the governor of Kultura. As for today, we'd split up to investigate the city, just as we'd done in Kalita. Everyone went their separate ways. I went to an area near our base and started to do some light digging around. Excuse me. If you have some time, I'd like to ask a few questions.
What do we have here? A new face? Where did you come from?
Oh, I traveled here from the capital, you see. I only just arrived.
Here's some friendly advice then. As a girl, don't walk outside alone. This isn't the safest place right now. Only the day before yesterday, a guy suddenly ran around swinging a knife in the street.
Wait, really? Was that one of those recent incidents that have been on the rise?
Who knows? Well, I warned you. If you have no business here, hurry along and go home.
The shop door closed in my face and my shoulders drooped. I knew it. I kept trying to ask around, but everyone I found said the same thing and turned me away. There were barely any people walking around town in the first place. What do I do now? Is there anyone else I can ask? Sorry. You're from the public security forces, right?
Yes, I remember you.
How's the criminal now?
Apologies, that information is confidential.
Though I knew I might not get an answer, I still tried asking. He looked troubled. Then another officer ran over.
Hey, why are you slacking off here? We're supposed to assemble at the gate, remember? But, fiend extermination isn't one of my duties.
Fiends?
Yeah, there's been an increasing number of them in the vicinity lately. We've even seen evolved ones in the forest. They probably won't come into the city, but please keep your guard up.
Yes, I will.
Come on, we gotta hurry. Make sure you bring your Chloris amulet.
There are more fiends around. Vilio said that too. As I watched the officers leave, I spaced out, deep in thought. But then the very person on my mind crossed into my field of view. Vilio was walking out of the city. That was Vilio, right? That reminds me, when I saw him in Kalita, he was heading outside the city as well. For some odd reason, this bothered me. I chose to follow him. The next thing I knew, I'd walked into a dense forest on the outskirts of the city. Why is he here of all places? He said he was investigating fiends. Is that why he's here all alone? Even the noon sun couldn't pierce the darkness of the forest. Something in here gave me a bad feeling. Why would you follow him outside into the forest when he's like, be careful, and you're like, okay, and then promptly do the exact fucking opposite? I mean, okay. I really can't make fun of her for being an idiot, because it's par for the course. So that he has to rescue us, you know what I mean? I was only walking like normal, but I felt a chill run down my spine. I've completely lost track of Vilio. He told me to keep my nose out of it, too. I should head back before I regret it. Okay, well, at least she's not totally stupid. She did a stupid thing, and then she's like, this was probably dumb. Great. And it's going to bite us in the ass. Right about now. The moment I was about to turn on my heels... Roar! That hurt my throat. That was not a good growl, and that hurt. A roar shook the entire forest like an earthquake. Sounds of trees being knocked down followed in its wake. What was that? They don't sound intimidating. Lured by that roar, I sprinted toward the source. Why would you go toward it? The sight before my eyes was beyond anything I could have imagined. Unless it was, supposedly Vilio, I guess. Look at him, eating that fiend. In the dark of the forest, where the chilly air prickled my skin like needles. I wasn't honestly expecting Vilio CGs to be like dragon versions, but interesting. There was a crimson dragon surrounded by eerie, inky shadows. A horde of fiends. Okay, so the growling was him. Not one to be phased, the towering ruby-red dragon lunged at the fiends without hesitation. What do you... Bird, you do that all the time, but it's not anything. Sharp, lethal claws shredded the fiends, exposing their cores. A gaping maw snapped shut around them. This is... He devoured the creatures like a greedy, merciless beast. A witness to the slaughter, I felt a shrill shriek leave my hoarse throat. But, I would be more concerned because the fiends are attacking him now. Oh my god! You're eating the fiends! That'd be like, your boyfriend turns into a bear and then you see him eating a deer in the woods. You'd be like, yeah, it was a little gruesome. But, you had to know that it was, possible. Not saying that I want to witness that. You'd be like, yeah. It's kind of like when you see a deer on the side, or you're like, can tell a tractor trailer hit a deer or an animal in the road because there's just like chunks of animal in the road and you're like, ugh, that's kind of gross. But like, you're like, someone ran in a road and got hit by a tractor trailer most likely. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I don't think I'd be like, woohoo, yeah, watching slaughter, but oh no! Like, I feel like the shrieking is a little bit too much. Like, come on. I can understand like a gasp because I was shocked, but like the shriek is gonna be like, oh no, I'm scared of him now. Like they're evil things. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna play it off, but right now the shriek kind of almost seems like she's gonna be a fainting violin. Like, oh no, I'm appalled because he was attacking the fiends, instead of being like, oh my god, it was a shock and I was just worried about you because like, fuck man, there was a ton of them. You know what I mean? Vilio? Easy. Shining eyes the color of fire bore into my own, and I couldn't stop myself from cowering. I mean, I guess I could understand that being a little bit like, oh my god, like you're just a little intimidated and afraid, and even though you're like, I know it's Vilio, it's just after watching him rip things to shreds, and he's a dragon. That would be very intimidating. This wasn't the first time I'd seen Vilio in this form. In show practice and performance, I'd seen him countless times. Sometimes I'd ride on his back or touch his scales as part of those activities. I touched him. I knew him. Yet, I mean, okay. I'm scared. I can't move. I don't like that she's scared of Vilio. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, necessarily. Like, scared of the situation, like, oh my god, all the fiends, and it's an intense moment, sure, but I think they're gonna spin it more like, I'm just afraid of him, and it's like, come on. I don't know if I buy that. Like, see, it's also because, look at the fiends. They're not that scary. Oh no, that's Vilio. That's Vilio's growling, not one of the fiends, sorry. In that instant, Vilio leapt forward once again, throwing himself at a fiend that had approached me. He crushed the fiend easily and pinned it down with his claws. His maw opened wide as he leaned over the fallen fiend. I can understand that this would be like, this is a little unsettling. With a squelch, his razor-like teeth sunk into the fiend's head and tore it clean off with a swing. Okay, that is a little gruesome. You're like, okay. Faced with this gruesome sight, I feel like you should keep your eyes on him. Don't look away. Don't be a coward, bitch. Keep your eyes on the prize. Your boyfriend ripping apart fiends. You know what I mean? Show him we're not intimidated, even though we're intimidated. A little intimidated. You know? Yeah, keep your eyes on him. That's right. I was scared. Vilio, who was usually bright and energetic, was now a brutal predator engaging in a ghastly feast. I never could have imagined it. I understand that being like, I'm a little ill at ease right now. Like, okay, intimidated, a little freaked out. Like, what the hell's happening? But, and I guess scared is the easiest way to say it. But I don't want them to get into the like, oh my god, I'm so terrified of him, and oh my god, I can't talk to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they handled the Rady situation like, wait, what the fuck? Like, I need a minute. You know what I mean? And it was fine, because it's like, yeah, everything you've known for the past few years, he's been lying to you. Like, you gotta process that. They handled that situation well. I don't want them to fuck up this and be like, no, I'm just terrified of him. They haven't gotten there yet, but I'm worried about it, because I'm just so used to other games doing things where you're like, that doesn't make any sense. They're being like, this was making me uneasy, and it was a little disturbing of a sight. And I'm like, happy, sweet little Vilio shredding monsters. It's disjointing, I get it. But I hope that's as far as they go with it. You know what I mean? And not be like, oh no, I can't talk to him, and now he's got to apologize to me. Like, let's not be that much of a fainting violet, okay? But he pounced on the fiend just now because he wanted to protect me. No matter what he looks like, no matter what he does, I know he's still Vilio, so he must have his reasons. For destroying fiends, yeah, they need to be destroyed, so, like, good for him. I desperately tried to hide my trembling as I fixed my eyes on him. When Vilio saw me looking, he let out a small, conflicted-sounding whimper. A whisper. It won't take long. Please wait for a bit. Phew. Finally done. Sorry I kept you waiting, Spacey. No, it's okay.
doing me a great favor if you kept what you saw a secret. And I'll tell everyone myself if it ever becomes necessary. What, that you were fighting, like, ow, oh god, I just got a sharp ass pain in my jaw. That you were fighting monsters, but also, why is his hair black? I will. After eating every last fiend around, or he's like, don't tell them I ate them. Okay, all right, that I was just a little, I get it. I get the uneasiness. She's handling it well. Ilio turned back into his human form with a wry smile, but there was something off about him. Yeah, the black hair. Huh. My eyes widened as I stared at him. I like how this is kind of interesting. They did it with Pashalia. Like, all of a sudden, Pashalia is blonde, and you're like, whoa. And, like, dark-haired Vilio does hit different, but yet at the same time, it's still Vilio. It's still, like, I feel like with Pashalia, it was like, wow, it just hit so different. Like, blue wave hair versus blonde, or as like I said, brown, but it was blonde, okay? Like, they just hit so different, but yet dark-haired Vilio kind of almost feels very similar. Like, it's a little different, but it's not as drastic to me. I don't know. Vilio, what happened to your hair? It's black. No, this is a side effect of eating fiends. Fiends are manifestations of negative emotions, so people who defeat them also suffer ill effects. And your black hair is one of those? Kind of interesting, I like it. Yeah, don't worry about it though. This isn't much. It'll turn back soon. It made it sound like it was no big deal, and I frowned. About that, why in the world were you eating fiends to begin with? To exterminate them, of course. I can't just leave them here, right? Public security forces are around to drive them off, though. Driving them off isn't enough, they'll come back. Eating them harms you. Is it really necessary for you to go that far? Thing is, the security forces may look like they're eliminating fiends, but in truth, their method only scatters them temporarily. How can that be? Fiends disappear for good if someone with a Chloris amulet destroys their cores, right? Not technically, no. They can't retain their form anymore and disperse into the air for a time being. Mind you, it's not meaningless since it takes a while for them to assume a form again, but it's only a superficial solution. So, you have to eat them, Vilio? I feel like that. My question's like, so you have to eat them. That sounds fucking weird. I love it. That's right. I'm the only one who can eat fiends and purify them inside my body. Fiend purification. Although it's not common knowledge, destroying a fiend's core while holding a Chloris amulet will only make them vanish. The Archdragon is the only one who can completely extinguish a fiend by consuming and purifying the creatures inside their body. Okay, so he's literally the only dragon. It's not just like dragons can do it. It's just him. Forget humans. Not even other dragons have the ability to do this. I'm the only one in the world. I didn't know the details, but something dawned on me. Even among the legendary Fae known as dragons, Vilio is special. He's the special. They must be so scary. What? It's freakish for someone to dine on fiends. Sorry for making you watch something so unpleasant. Vilio's voice was melancholic, and in his eyes, I saw something brittle and vulnerable. Because he's like, I have to eat fiends and it's freaky and you were scared. And it's like, see, that's why you can't be scared of him. He's so sweet and innocent. Stop it. That's why she's handling it well so far, okay? I was concerned. I didn't want them to, like, make me mad at her. But, like, nah, they've done it right. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared. Okay. I can never dislike you, Vilio. I promise you that. I declared that without doubt, and Vilio stared in silence, stunned. So please don't look so dejected. It's not like you at all. Not like me at all? Vilio, I know, always encourages everyone and makes us smile again. You'd say, it's alright, let's try it out. Leave it to me. No, I just don't think before I talk. I mostly say stuff like that because I let my impulse take over. Yeah, but your impulse is to say, like, wise things that come from the heart, and they're touching and wonderful, so you know what? It's okay. See, he's like, I don't think before I talk, because I'm a little dumb. Yeah, but you know, the shit that comes out of your mouth is wise and wonderful most of the time. Well, when we're having those moments. And then you're a little derpy, but it's okay, that's why we love you. You got a lot on your shoulders, it's okay to be a little dumb sometimes.
Fine. We need you to be a little like that so that you don't get bogged down by the horrible things you have to do, like eating fiends. Kind of sucks to have that weight on your shoulders, man. Very few people can do that. Everyone needs a lot of courage to take the first step forward. I'm the same, you know? I was supposed to live a happy but slightly dull life and age without knowing what I really wanted to do, but then you suddenly crashed into my life from the sky, Vilio, and you gave me courage. He really did literally fall on the sky. It really was rain and men that day. You were the one who gave me the gentle encouragement I needed to join circus back then. And because you were there, I'm here today, traveling around the big wide world. I gazed right into Vilio's eyes as I spoke. Vilio's hair, which had been stained black, gradually returned to its usual red. That's why I'm not scared of you at all. Actually, I feel really reassured whenever I look at you. Reassured? When you see me? Yeah. After all, when you insist something's possible, Vilio, I feel like nothing can stop me. For a while, Vilio stared at me in a stupor. I'm reassuring. I make people smile. I think it's the first time in my life that someone said that kind of thing about me. Vilio cast his gaze down, gazing at the back of his hands before forming them into loose fists. Like, you're like the dragon savior, and the other dragons are so mean to you that they don't, like, give you little pep talks like, no, you're gonna do great, bro. They're like, oh, this motherfucker. Aww. He really is a himbo, isn't he? They're like, oh, this idiot. He's the one that's gonna say, ah, fuck. Oh, they don't have faith in him, do they? Poor thing. Okay, group hug. Come on. Zephora, get in here. I can't tell you too much, but I was born with a power that's extraordinary even among dragons. A dragon who's only born once a generation. A dragon more powerful than anything else. The Archdragon. Archdragon. The most powerful dragon born only once per generation. Vilio, the current Archdragon, was deemed exceptional from his youth and raised differently. Only an Archdragon is able to consume and purify fiends. Because of that, every other dragon's treated me like I was someone special. I mean, you kind of are. I used to think that was only natural. But you... Vilio had a faraway look in his eyes. I took a single step forward and reached out to him, hug him. Startled for a moment, Vilio started to step back. But in the end, he didn't shake my hand off. Let's head back now, Vilio. If we take too long, everyone will get worried. Gently tugging on his hand as I walked, I spoke to him in a soft voice. I'll be honest, dragons, the Archdragon, I have no clue what all of that's about. To me, you're just Vilio. And Vilio's my very precious teammate in circus, who's bright, optimistic, and reliable. Thanks. I don't know how to describe what I'm feeling. Like, there's a tickle in my chest. Look at him blushing! If your hair was red, all of you would be neon red right now. That's so fucking adorable. Stop it. Once again, I turned to look at Vilio, who looked a little sheepish. He claimed that he was purifying the fiends in his body, but I was sure consuming literal negative emotions definitely wasn't good for anyone. I don't know your situation or the duties you're burdened with, but don't push yourself too hard, okay? He flashed me a reassuring smile. But never once did he agree before we returned to the city. Aww. I returned to our base with Vilio. The others, who'd spent the entire day exploring, came back with their findings. Due to the riots, however, the citizens were guarded. Very few stopped to listen to us, and we didn't gain much information either. Something that caught my interest was Ion's account of a fiend encounter inside the labyrinth. Fiend was in the labyrinth? Vilio looked surprised and asked Ion a few more questions to understand the situation. In the end, we concluded that the best way to gain information was to ask the Sentinel directly. We can't get all the ingredients we want when we're on the road. Since we're finally in a city, we're all stocked up. Eat your fill, everyone! Everyone seemed like they could use a boost of energy. So Ion and I laid a lavish meal out on the table.
Nice! You guys made a whole feast today. I can't wait to dig in. It smells wonderful, more so than usual. Did you use herbs, perhaps?
I attempted an assortment of recipes that used local herbs. Cultura was founded by the great spirit of wind, and there's a belief that fragrances carried on the wind clear impurities.
That was a lot to try to read in one sentence.
And that's apparently why they choose to use so many herbs in their cooking, creating a mix of rich aromas.
Interesting. Well, that's why it's so fragrant.
Salad filled with herbs is a delight as well. Everyone dug in with fervor, except one. Vilio barely ate anything, and I found my eyes growing wide. Vilio?
Huh. Vilio's not eating for once. You always eat with gusto. What's up?
Do you dislike the herbs, perhaps? I shall prepare something else then.
Nah, that's not it. He was acting evasive. I saw him glance briefly in my direction. Vilio looked troubled, and seeing that, I said, "Did you steal food?" To cover for him. "Did you steal food?" We're covering for him because he ate fiends, and he's like, "I'm not hungry. I ate a fuck ton of fiends earlier." You know what I mean? I feel like this is covering. Yeah, okay. That's covering for him. That's so cute. In that instant, the scene I'd seen today floated to the surface of my mind. Is he still suffering from earlier? If that's the case...
Are you perhaps feeling ill?
You might be right. He looks pale. Vilio, did something happen? Concern was evident on everyone's faces, and that was when... How could you, Vilio? I suddenly pouted and pointed accusingly with a finger. I told you earlier that you'd spoil your dinner if you snacked too much.
Huh?
So adorable. I caught him stealing food from the kitchen.
Huh. See now. Wasted my time worrying about you.
And that means you were worried. Zephora? Everyone shook their head in disapproval. Meanwhile, I grabbed Vilio's arm and forced him to stand up. Since you aren't hungry, you can help with dessert as punishment.
Dessert? I shall help as well.
We got it. Can you take care of everyone here instead, Ion?
Understood.
I led Vilio back to his tent by the hand. When we got there, Vilio let out a big sigh and smiled at me.
Sorry. Thanks for that.
No, I didn't do much, but you really aren't feeling too good, are you? Is it because you ate those fiends earlier?
Yeah, well, my stomach isn't physically full, but I won't have any appetite until I finish purifying them.
After muttering that apologetically, he pressed his palms together.
You and I had prepared such a wonderful meal and I wasted it. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Don't apologize. This is a special duty that only you can carry out, isn't it?
Yeah.
For now, rest here a while. I'll come up with a good excuse to tell the others.
Thanks.
He's so adorable. You should just tell everyone. I know it's hard, but you know what I mean? Like, he lay down in his hammock and shut his eyes. Usually he'd put up a front and say that he's fine, but he laid down straight away. Must be feeling awful. Couldn't do anything to wipe the grimace off his face, and I felt heartbroken. Rest as much as you can, okay? With some reluctance, I left him alone in his tent. Like, I mean, I kind of get it. They're also just, like, not going to tell everyone for a while, but... The next day, luckily Vilio had recovered enough to move around without issue. However, Zephora refused to meet the Sentinel for some reason and went off on his own. The rest of us went with our original plan and attended our audience with Balto, the current Sentinel of Cultura. Again, 3 fiends in a dude suit. As the Sentinel, he was respected by the people here, so he could potentially help with our promotion. With such hopes, we met him face to face, but...
Though I'd love to cooperate, I'm afraid that's difficult at present while crimes are running rampant.
We wanted to give courage to people and brighten up the city with our show. The response to our appeal, however, was cold and indifferent. This man didn't think there was anything wrong with the current state of Cultura. He seemed to have no intention of giving us proactive support. As a token of apology, he distributed sachets, Cultura's proof of residency, to all of us. Not a moment later, he ended the conversation as if declaring he had no more time to waste.
These are sachets made with maracas, an herb you can only find in Cultura. As long as you have the sachet, Wind Spirit shall guide you even if you get lost in the labyrinth. Wait. Is this the thing that Zephora used when he chased the pickpocket?
Oh, I see now. The Zephora comes from here, so that explains how we already knew all about the sachet, huh?
Zephora?
Yes, he's a member of Circus. He was unable to attend today due to other matters. And do you possibly know of him?
Don't mind me. It's a common name on Cultura, so I was intrigued for a moment. Balto twitched when he heard Zephora's name, which was rather odd. But I learned the meaning of his strange reaction very soon. After our audience with Balto, we decided to return to camp and discuss our plans. It reminds me, where in the world did Zephora disappear to? I was walking back to camp alongside the others when I heard something. How dare you come back! A man's voice, filled with rage, echoed from an alley. And we know what this scene is. Zephora? A man, likely a local, had grabbed Zephora by the collar and was yelling at him. Hurriedly, we rushed over and wedged ourselves between the two. Hey, what are you doing? Let him go! The moment the man heard we were Zephora's comrades, he spat these words bitterly. He's an underhanded backstabber who abandoned Cultura and ran away. Who knows when he'll desert you too? He would never. Abandon Cultura? Please elaborate. Fine, then I'll enlighten you. He was once the rightful heir of the Sentinel. Huh? 3 years ago, this guy abandoned his post as the successor and ran away. Out of despair, his father, the previous Sentinel, and his mother both committed suicide. And we know that's not true, but that's so hard to, have spat in your face when you're Zephora. You left. You know damn well, what really happened. He knows what happened, and he's like, ugh, but then people are saying this shit? Man. And now his uncle, Lord Balto, has taken over the position of Sentinel. Listen up, Zephora. Get out of this city right now. You abandoned this place once. Have you no shame coming back as if nothing happened? After hurling one-sided abuse at Zephora, the man left, squaring his shoulders, resolute. We were left standing there, a suffocating silence hanging in the air. Who could have predicted that Zephora used to be the Sentinel heir? All of us just raised our hand collectively, well, we did. Because, we learned that the first time we played this game. Is that why he was so against meeting Balto? Hey, Zephora, was he telling the truth? Were you the Sentinels? My past has nothing to do with you. The tone was dark. Something must have happened between him and Balto. After he spat those words, Zephora left, leaving no room for negotiation. And sad little Vilio behind. Woo, now we're Vilio, but we're almost at time. I'll stop here, and we'll come back next time. Because this could be a minute or two. It could be 10. I don't know. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.